Okay, good. So yeah, so till now we've seen some very basic Haskell and some. The last class we looked at various ways of defining functions. Okay, and yeah, in this class we'll look at a very important kind of function definition that is used all the time in Haskell. That is, this is recursive definitions. Okay. So yeah, recursive definitions. Okay. Recursive. Yes, and this is pretty simple. You've seen it in school also, yeah, and even otherwise. So the typical thing is that you will have a base case. Typically, the value of the function on 0, okay, f of 0 is given somehow, or you define it somehow, and then f of n for n greater than 0 is defined in terms of all these. Okay, f of n is defined in terms of all the previous values, f n minus 1, n minus 2, etc., etc., f0. For instance, factorial, 0 factorial is 1, and for n greater than 0, n factorial is n times n minus 1 factorial. Okay, so this is something that you are all familiar with. So yes, so in Haskell, for instance, you would say that 0 factorial is factorial 0 is 1 is what you will define, and exactly like you did with the mathematical definition where you said n factorial is n times n minus 1 factorial. Similarly, you will just say n factorial n is n times factorial n minus 1. Okay, so that's all you need to say. Okay, and we have already seen that you can do multiple lines of definition. So you have one line of definition for the pattern 0, yes, and another line for a general value of for any general integer. So this is the rule for n equal to 0, the rule for any n. I say rule for any n, but can n be 0 in the second case, factorial n? Yes?
No, because Haskell checks from top to bottom.
Yeah, it checks from top to bottom. So the 0 case will be handled by the first rule. So you will come to the second rule only if n is non-zero. Okay. So n times factorial n minus 1 you're doing, and that's fine. Okay. And so notice that I am doing integer rather than int. An integer represents numbers of arbitrarily large magnitude. Okay. So this is the point. Arbitrarily large magnitude. So for instance, you can say factorial 40, and this is some huge number. Okay. If you instead use the int, that has definite lower and upper bounds. For instance, on my machine, it's minus 2 to the 63 and 2 to the 63 minus. Okay, this is the int dot min bound, and this is the int dot max bound. Okay, as you can check from your GHCA. Okay, I can for a minute go to GHCA and I can check that. Yes, I have GHCA here, and I ask it what is the I can ask it. I'll say int dot min bound. I hope you're able to see the screen, right? Is it clear? You have to give me something.
It's meant min bound double colon int.
Ah, that's true. Very nice. Okay. Yes. Okay. And this is actually minus 2 power 63 and max bound double colon is whatever. Okay. 2 to the 63 minus 1. Okay. So min bound denotes the minimum bound for any type whatsoever. So you need to actually give the precise type for it to give the correct min bound that you are seeking. So yeah.
Professor?
Yes.
I had a question. Are floats and doubles also bounded?
Floats and double we can check actually.
I think min bound actually it says there's no instant for bounded float arising from a use of max bound for floats.
Okay, so then it's not. So float really. So I think float there is. Yeah, because it. So you need to really get into the internal representation of how floating point numbers are represented. So you have some, because you can have as small exponent as possible, and I suppose that is why you cannot have a okay, but yeah.
Okay. Okay, sir.
So internally, there in the representation of float or double, there are only finitely many bits. Okay, but because of the way your exponent and so on can be small, I think it is some impractical or to have a bound for double or float.
Okay, sir. Okay.
So you can check for factorial 40 and you can get these large numbers. Okay, so this is factorial. So actually, this factorial program has a little error. What is the error that it has?
Negative n.
Exactly. If I say factorial minus 1, it will try minus 1 times factorial minus 2, which will be minus 2 times factorial minus 3. It will go on forever. Okay, it will never halt. Okay, so therefore, yeah. But before we move there, notice the parenthesis around here. Okay, n minus 1. I want to apply the factorial function on the number n minus 1, on the expression n minus 1. So I have to put parenthesis. If I don't put parenthesis, it will be interpreted as this. Okay, factorial minus 1 it will become. Why? Because functions have higher precedence as their part. So just like if you write 2 plus 5 into 3, what is the value that you all expect? Suppose you write 2 plus 5 into 3 without any parenthesis, etc. What is it that you expect?
17.
17, okay, and not 21. Okay, it is not treated as 2 plus 5 into 3. It is treated as 2 plus 5 into 3. Okay, and that phenomenon is called precedence. You say that multiplication has higher precedence over addition. Precedence means this will be done first, then addition. Similarly, function calls like this, factorial, etc., will be done first. Okay, in a large expression, and any of the arithmetic operators will be done after. Okay, and even there it will be star first and star and divides first and then plus and minus. Okay, so but on the other hand, if you want to force something to be done as a unit first, you should put it inside parenthesis. This is exactly like putting 2 plus 5 inside parenthesis and saying into 3. Okay, so that's what you're doing here, factorial of n minus 1. Yes. Okay, good. So but there is no guarantee of termination, because if you try factorial minus 1, it will keep on going forever. Yeah, again, you should you can only invoke it by saying factorial minus 1. The parenthesis here around the minus 1, you cannot just say this. Okay, this will give you error. This will interpret it to be factorial subtract 1 from factorial, but you cannot subtract anything from a function, so that will give you a type error. Okay, so we can check all this on GHCI later. I'll do some of the slides and then go to GHCI.
So can't we put any bound on the definition and on the n so that we can achieve factorial minus 1?
Yeah, so that is what we are going to next. What you do is you put a guarded definition. Okay, once you have a guarded definition, you can have whatever you want. You can say that okay, factorial 0 is 1. Factorial n, you can say okay, if n is less than 0, I want to do actually n times factorial n plus 1. Okay, So if I start with a negative number, I'll go towards 0. If I start with a positive number also, I'll go towards 0. Okay. But what will happen is that with a negative number, you do not know. So you will have minus 20, let us say, then you will say minus 20 into minus 9 into factorial minus 19. But that will be minus 19 into factorial minus 18. So the number of times, the number of minuses, if it is odd, if it is even, the overall thing will be a positive number, otherwise it will be a negative. Okay, so you can have some definition like this if you want, but if you recall the earlier definition that I had said that if n is less than or equal to 0, I will always say 1. Okay, that is another choice that you can have. You can have any number of same choices, but you need to address this. Okay, the fact that if you had the earlier version and if you did factorial minus 20 or some such, it will never terminate. Okay, that is something that you need to realize. Okay, the point is that with recursive functions, you need to care about termination. Okay, not always will the function terminate, so you need to be a little careful. Okay, good. Let's look at another algorithm. So this is Euclid's algorithm for computing greatest common divisor. So now at this point, rather than just talk about the code, I'll just go to this thing and I'll try to actually write it. Yeah.
So what is the software that you're using on your terminal
So
window?
I'm using some shell software on the iPad. Something called Blink Shell. That will. So I'm just doing all this off the iPad. Okay, you have GHCA on the right hand side and you have the code on the left hand side. So here is factorial that we wrote earlier. Okay, we can have fact prime if you want. Which is the version we just now wrote. Fact prime of n equals can say n equals 0 means that the value is 1. N less than 0 means value is n times fact prime n minus n plus 1. And at this point, you can either say otherwise or n greater than 0. I will say otherwise. Okay, so this is the code, and you can save this. Code. Compiles, and you can now run this. So you can ask for factorial. So if you say factorial and then say minus 20, like I said, we'll get an error. Okay, so you have to say factorial within parenthesis minus 20. What will be the result? It will be some, yeah. So what will be factorial of minus 20?
Error.
It will be 1 because it will first call the first program that you will written. Okay, so that's just 1. Yes, as you see. Factorial of factorial prime of minus 20. Some positive, okay, some huge one. And factorial prime of minus 19 gives you some negative number. Okay, and so on and so forth. Okay. So now we wanted to do GCD. Yes. Okay. So how do you compute GCD? You've all done it in school, right? So I would like you to dictate the program for. So GCD. Let me just say integer arrow integer arrow integer. There are 2 integer arguments and there is 1 integer output. So GCD of AB.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
We can use the recursion GCD AB equals to GCD B A mod B.
Okay. Under what conditions? Okay. So you are saying GCD, but there has to be some. When do you stop? If you keep on doing this.
When A mod B is equals to 0.
Okay. When one of the things is 0, you can stop. Okay. So
Yes.
I'll choose if B equals 0, I'll return it.
Yes.
Else GCD of B and A mod B. Okay. So hopefully this works. So what if A is smaller than B?
We need to give condition.
Yes.
But we can add the condition if if A is smaller than B, then we can just call GCD of BA.
Which
Yes.
is exactly what is already happening, because if A is smaller than B, A mod B is just A. Okay, so you don't need to do anything, right? Because GCD of AB, you are saying GCD of B, A mod B. If A is smaller than B, anyway, A mod B is just A. So in the first step, you will flip. After that, you will always maintain this fact that the first argument is greater than or equal to the second argument. Is that clear? The moment the second argument becomes 0, you know that A is the GCD. Okay, and yeah, so hopefully this works. Let's see.
Sir,
if
could
it,
you explain this once again, this point?
Yeah. What if A is less than B? So I want to write a program where I will maintain this fact that the first argument is always greater than the second argument, greater than or equal to the second argument. Okay. But what if, but initially, if you give me things in the wrong order, first argument is smaller than the second, then anyway, at this point, you know, this, the fact that I use this B A mod B, you see this here. Yeah. So GCD AB will become GCD BA in the first step.
Okay,
Why?
okay, sir. Okay.
Because
sir.
A mod B is just A, because when A is smaller than B. Okay.
Okay,
But
okay,
after
sir.
that, it will always maintain the fact that B is greater, that the first argument is greater than or equal to the second argument. Eventually, when the second argument becomes 0, yes, because at every step the second argument will reduce, first argument also will reduce. And if it doesn't reduce, then the second argument will become 0, and then you can just return the first argument as the GCD. Okay, so this is the standard Euclid algorithm. Let us see if it works. It might not work if the GCD is a built-in function, but I don't remember if it's built-in or not. If it is, yeah. So let us see. Load, reload. Ambiguous occurrence GCD itself, because it would refer to either the prelude.gcd, which is the GCD provided by your system, or it could refer to main.gcd itself. Okay, so at this point there are two things that you can do. Okay, I might as well tell you that. Okay, one thing is that you can go here and change your function name. You can say, okay, so don't call it GCD, call it my GCD, so that it doesn't get confused with the system GCD. Okay, this is one option. I'll tell you the other option in a minute. Okay, now it properly loads. Okay, now it loads, and now you can ask my GCD of, I don't know, give me two numbers, 3 and 5. Okay, so those are co-prime, so the value will be 1. What else do you want to ask? My GCD of 2 power 20 and 2 power 16. What do you expect the answer to be? Yeah, 2 power 16 will be the answer. Okay, so you can give things like this. But if you want to use the same name GCD, then what you can do is you can go here. There is something called import that you can do. Import will import existing libraries into your code, so that you can freely use library functions. So certain things are automatically imported, like this thing called prelude. This is automatically imported. Okay, you don't need to do anything, but you can ask prelude to be imported hiding certain functions. You can say hiding these. Okay. Okay, if you do this, then if you you reload, if you now say GCD, it won't work because there is no such thing in scope. But you can define your own GCD. No, that is the whole point. So now you can actually go and copy these two lines. And instead of my GCD, you call this GCD. Okay. Okay, you can now reload and now you can ask GCD of type of GCD. It's saying okay. So now we can ask what is GCD of 2014 2. And so on and so forth. Okay, so remember this hiding. Okay, you can import something, you can import whatever library module as they are called. Prelude is a module. Okay, a module is a collection of related functions, or sometimes they might not be related. Module is a collection of functions and data definitions, which we'll see later, which you can import. And so I can create a module which you can import and use. Okay, but you have to trust me in that case. So in general, you can use the module Prelude because that is something that is provided by the system itself, and you trust the system, sort of. Okay, so but
sir, I have a doubt.
you use the same name, you can say hiding. Okay, you can hide as many as you want. You can just say import Prelude hiding so many things, and then or sometimes if you want to only import a particular few functions, you can do that also. So rather than saying hiding, you can just say import. What did we use here? You used mod here. So you could just say import Prelude within parenthesis mod, which will mean that you will only be able to use mod and nothing else. Okay. Yes, somebody had a question.
Yes, sir. I have a doubt in the factorial question. Like if in the case of n less than 0, we want to output a string, so how can we do that?
You wanted to output a string.
Yeah, a string saying that does not exist. So how can we do that?
That is a good question. Okay, you cannot, typically you cannot, because a string is a string and an integer is an integer, and your output types have to match correctly. Right? Okay,
so we can't.
There is a special function in Haskell. Okay. There is a special thing in Haskell. Yes, this is good. Let us write a factorial double prime. Okay, factorial double prime of 0 equals 1 factorial n. If n is less than 0, then you can say error and give any string that you want. So please enter input is negative. Does not work for make it a little more systematic rather than this. Okay. So, yes, so this is it. So oh, sorry. What is it? Okay, good. So is this clear? How I can use this? Error. Error is a very special function. What is the type of error? The type of error is you require a string as argument. The string is given as argument to output the error message. What is the output type of error?
String.
No, it is not string. String is the argument you are giving to the error function.
Should be.
What is the error this? What is the output type of fact double prime?
Oh, integer.
Integer, right? But can you also use the error function in a definition that returns a character? You can. So therefore, the type of error is special. It is string arrow A, where A stands for any type also. Okay. So that is a special thing. Good that somebody asked. You can always use error to print out error messages. The way you use it is this. You just say error and give an error message, and it will all automatically work because the type of error is list of character arrow A, where A stands for any type whatsoever. Okay, this can be embedded in any program. And if I say error, yeah. So now let me just say fact double prime of. Now I have to reload. Clear screen so that you see. And yes. And now factorial double prime of. Yeah, you will get an error like this. Not the most gracious of error messages, but at least it gives you whatever error message you gave. Does not work for negative values. Okay, it says. And then it says some few other things. I mean, forget it. You just called an error. So you expect from some messages from the system, which are mildly ununderstandable. Doesn't matter. Okay, you can output an error like this. Okay, good. So now, so GCD also works. My GCD also works. Yes. So somebody else had a question?
Yeah. Yeah, I have a question, sir. I don't understand what the difference between hiding GCD and GCD is.
GCD means it will allow you to use GCD. Hiding GCD means it will hide GCD. It will import everything else, but it will hide GCD alone. Hiding GCD there means that you can name this function here GCD. Suppose I did not have the hiding GCD. Okay.
Yeah.
Suppose I go here. Suppose I comment this out. And, let me try to load this. You will see what will happen. Yeah, it says, oh, ambiguous occurrence GCD. It says.
Yeah, sir.
Yes, because I am defining GCD, but your prelude, which is automatically imported, also has a GCD.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So yes, so you cannot use the same name, which is why you are forced to use my GCD here. But that is an inconvenience, right? You have to always go and add my, etc. That's a little more ugly than you would want. Okay, so which is why you do this hiding here. When you hide it, it will import everything else except GCD.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then I also mentioned the other thing that you can prelude is a bunch of it's a huge set of functions. So sometimes you might want to say, oh, I do not want all of prelude, I only want GCD. In which case you can do import prelude. Okay, so here you can say, okay, you can look at what all you are using here. You can just say import prelude. Instead of saying hiding, you can explicitly say what all you want. I think mod is something that is used here. I don't know how much plus star etc. depends on prelude, but we can try. Suppose I say that only mod will be used. Okay, so this means that I am importing only one function, mod.
Yes.
Okay. That will automatically hide GCD etc. because you are only importing mod. So let us see if this works. No, doesn't, because I mean even things like integer, error, etc. all requires prelude. Okay, so you cannot just say import only mod. So you now see the difference. when you say import prelude mod, it is importing only mod and nothing else. Okay, and that creates errors on all kinds of things. You see that, yeah. So,
So I had a question about the error.
Yeah.
If you output an error into some other expression, so then the error will just keep going.
No, I don't understand what.
So I say, if you suppose if you do 2 plus
Just
fact,
give me a minute, please. I'm just. Okay. Yes. What is it?
if you do something like 2 plus fact double prime n.
You will still get error. Yes, you will still get error. Yeah.
Okay.
So very good question. Yes. Reload. Now everything loads correctly. Clear screen. So 2 plus fact double prime of -1. It will still give error. Yeah. Okay. Though you might not always get an error like this. If I say 0 star, no, this time also you will get an error. 0 times anything has to be 0, but still it requires both answers. Okay? So you need, if that is an error, you will get an error. Okay. Fine. So GCD is fine. So these are 2 programs you've seen till now. Okay. So,
Sir, I have a doubt, sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, in the code for fact prime, where it was returning a string in place when n is
it was
negative.
not returning a string. It was not returning a string. Please understand. It is returning an integer only. You are applying the error function on a string that will return an integer, but you won't see the integer. Basically, it will match the type, but it will just print the error message.
Okay, sir. Can we make my question is, can we make it return a string by removing the type declaration?
No, because then you will, for some inputs you will have to return a string. For some inputs you will return a number. No.
So Haskell won't Haskell take care of the type?
No. Haskell won't take care of. Haskell won't take care of monstrosities like for the same function. Sometimes return a string, sometimes an error. Sometimes an integer. We'll see later what you will do if you have to do that. Okay. I'll definitely show you. You have to build your own type to do that. Okay. Your own type, which sometimes returns a value, sometimes returns a string. Okay. Any such thing you will have to do on your own. I will do it later after maybe 7-8 lectures later.
Yes.
Okay. Good. So let's move on.
So if we use import prelude only.
No. So please be a little clearer. I can't hear you well.
So
can you repeat, please?
So if we use import prelude only, then will it load every function inside the built-in list?
Yeah. So yes. If you say import prelude, it will load every function from prelude. Even if you don't say that, prelude will automatically be loaded anyway. But if it's some other module, let us say like import data.list, okay, that will load everything in, or data.char, that will load every function pertaining to characters. Okay, but you can actually, for instance, here is something that we can do. Suppose I want to, but then I'll do that once I come to lists. Okay, so I cannot do that right now. Okay, so next is this is the problem that I want to do, largest div. Largest div of n returns the largest divisor of n other than n itself. Assume for the moment that n is non-negative. Well, assume that n is positive, because 0 has no largest divisor. Assume that n is positive. Okay, great. Okay. Okay, how do you do this?
Sir, one way would be with list comprehensions. We'll define a list of
No,
all
no, no,
devices.
no, don't do all that. I have not introduced lists.
Okay.
Don't jump. Do
So can-
simple. I want you to learn how to do recursion. So just think about the logic. How do you find out the largest divisor?
Sir, we can do a recursion that like, so it'll check n-1 whether n-1 divides n. If it doesn't work, then it'll do
And
n,
try with n-2, etc.
and then
right?
keep going,
So,
and obviously one will divide.
So largest div, then I'll say largest div n equals search from n-1. You want to search starting from n-1. What do you want to search? You want to search whether n-1 is a divisor. You want to search for the first divisor starting from n-1. First divisor of n. Okay.
Sir,
So-
but isn't the largest divisor just the number divided by its smallest divisor? So wouldn't it be better to search from 2, right? And see if
It will all be similar, I suppose. But let us just do the straightforward logic now. Yeah, you could do that if you want, but we can do this also. There also you have to use the same logic. Okay. So I'm just telling you the logic. So you start from, yeah, you may be right. That's true. It might be more efficient if you start from 2. Okay. But let us try this. Okay. Or are you saying that you can start from n/2?
Yes, n/2 will work.
well, I mean, n may
You
not
cannot,
be
no, you have to say
divisible
n
by
div 2 first of
Yes,
all, because
n div
it is
2,
integers, and
n
then you
div
have to
2.
put the ceiling of that, etc. So I can do n div 2 mod n div 2 plus 1 I have to do. But
Yeah,
let us
yeah.
do the naive logic. No, let us not worry about
No, because
efficiency
n
for-
minus 1 will only be divisible, like will be only a divisor of n if like n is 2.
I know, but I am.
Yeah.
I know that. So it won't
Okay,
be.
sir,
divisible.
I understood, sir.
Let
I
us just
understood.
1 second. Let us just encode the simple logic that somebody told us. Start from n-1. If it divides, that is it. Otherwise, go to n-2, etc. etc. Let us first translate this into Haskell code. Then we will look at. I'm teaching you Haskell. Remember? Of course, I know
Yes,
that
sir,
for this
sorry.
problem there are lots of efficient algorithms. But let us just do the simple one first. Okay. There are enough people here who want to learn. Haskell at relatively slower pace. So yes, let's do that. But what is it that I want to illustrate now? What is the search from?
So it's another function that you'll define.
Another function. Okay. And if you want to define another function, you will have to define it here. Okay. But the search from is a function that makes sense only in the context of this largest divisor, right? So you can actually define it to be a local function. And you define local functions by saying where. Okay. You can say largest divisor of n equals search from of n-1, where search from itself is this function. You can say that. And when you do where, here automatically there is this indentation. Okay. So this is one of the cases where you have to indent. Okay. If you say where, the local functions have to be indented. But also there is another thing. This local function, I have to search from I for the smallest divisor of what?
n.
N, right? But I am not giving n as an argument here. Why? Because n is an argument here. N is an argument here. So I don't need to explicitly give an argument here to the local functions. Okay, in some sense, the local functions can use global values, namely arguments of the original function. Okay, so search from I, meaning, let me just write the thing as comment. Search from I, let me write a comment here saying search from I searches for the, finds the largest divisor of n starting from I. Is the idea clear? Yes. Now search from I can write two guards. Okay. What are the two guards that are useful for us? First, I want to check if I divides n. How do I check if I divides n?
We'll use mod equal.
Yeah, how do you use mod? You can use mod. How do you use mod? Aryan Kusle. Can you tell me what the exact test is?
Within parentheses n mod I.
N mod I equals 0. Okay.
Within
If that is the case, then what should I return in this case? In this case, it means that I itself is a divisor of n. I'm finding the largest divisor of n starting from I. So what should I return now?
I.
That's right. Otherwise, what do I do?
We'll go to I minus 1.
Exactly. And what is the precise expression you will write here? Somebody else can answer. Neelabjia, you want to answer?
Search from I minus
Exactly.
1.
Search from I minus 1. Is this clear to everyone? Srimati, is it clear to you? I'm just asking. I'm just naming people whose names I can see. Sorry. Sorry to single you, some of you out. Yeah. Okay. Good. So search from n. Is the logic clear? So you do this, and that's it. So let's. Of course, there are better ways to do it, and I'll ask one of you to state me the better way to do this. Okay.
Sir, is it possible to define search from not locally?
Yes, you can define search from not locally also, but yeah, you can do that. No? You can you do that by just defining instead of saying where, you put search from here. So what will happen if you define search from globally? How should you change it?
We need another parameter.
Exactly, you need another parameter, and that parameter is n. And because that is used here, n is used here, you see. I'm using n mod I, and this n refers to that n. Yeah, this n refers to that. Okay, so if you do it globally, you have to add another parameter. Search from I n, you have to say. Yes, who asked this question about global definition?
Srijan Chakraborty.
Is it clear to you now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, no, I didn't understand global definition.
Yeah. So sorry, Srimati, what is it?
No, I didn't understand global definition. What you said.
Global means anything that is not inside a where. Okay. So yeah. So let me just do it here. If I just come here. First of all, if you want to define a global definition, you should give it at the leftmost. It shouldn't be indented. Okay, that's a rule. Okay. Somebody asked about indentation rules. If it's a function at the outermost level, I mean, if it's a global function as it is called, it should be unindented. And yes, Srimati, is it clear? So I remove the where here. I have to remove the where also.
Yeah.
But then what else have I missed now? I just said that I should do something else. What is it? What else should I do now?
You said you have to make
this n here is now not defined. So I'll try to compile and show you. Yeah. You'll see then. If I try to reload this, it will give me an error. It will say, oh, variable not in scope. It says. N. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Part of the error message. So because this iPad screen is small, so I don't get the full thing. It gets cut off. But you will see variable not in scope is what it is. Yes. So how do you fix this? You can again make it local, or you should go here and say add another parameter. But you have to also fix one more thing. What is it that you have to fix? Here now search from has 2 parameters. So you have to, when you call it also, you have to call it with 2 parameters, right?
Right, yeah.
Yes, you'll have to say, oh, search from n-1, the largest divisor of n. That is what this is. Yes.
So, and below it will be search from I-1 n.
No, once I-1 n. Yes, that's very good. Yeah, so you see that it is much more convenient to have local definition, right? Because you can sometimes cut down on arguments, etc. Okay, so so do you see the version? I'll keep this commented and I'll do the local version. Okay, I'll
So when it's global, it doesn't recognize n, so you have to define it again.
right, so you have to define it. Yes, yes. So you have to give it as an argument. Yes. Yeah, you're right. So it doesn't know what n means, so you have to give it as an argument. But whereas if you keep it local, you don't need it. Okay?
Sir, if you write down in GHCI that colon T and to find the type of search from, what will it return?
That is a very good question. It won't even tell you that there is search from, because search from is local to largest div. You see, very good question.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Suppose you define it separately with 2 arguments, then
if you define it separately, it will give you type. It will give you type as integer or integer or integer or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah. But right now I forgot to give type. But right now, if you say type of search from, it will say search from not found at all, because it is local to largest div. You see, nobody you cannot call search from at all from anywhere, either from GHCA or from some other function inside the Haskell file.
Okay, understood.
Okay, so now anyway, so let us just check that this let us check that this works. So largest div of, I don't know, 35. What is the largest divisor of 35? 7, I suppose. Yeah. What is the largest divisor of 390? Yeah. Yes, you can keep doing things like this. I'm assuming that I'm only doing it for positive numbers. So now somebody said they had a better version, which is to find the smallest divisor and then divide n by that. Okay, and the hope is that the smallest divisor is quicker to find. Okay, typically it will be 2 or 3 or 5 or whatever. I mean, especially for the kind of examples that we come up. Okay, so I'll leave you to write that version yourself. Or you can do better by starting from n by 2, n divided by 2 plus 1 or something. Okay, and then do this work. Okay. So
Sir, but it would be better if we do it from the beginning only, because then we will only have to check n by 2, n by 3, n by 5, and this.
I think both
To
are
be
equally
precise, it is
efficient.
root n.
Root n? No. Root n won't work. No. Why would you say root n? N divided by 2 is always.
No, sir. To find the smallest number, which is smallest divisor of a number, the complexity will be root n, because within root n we will at least find one divisor of any number n, and if we don't find, it means it is a prime number.
Yeah, good. So you can figure all that out. Yes, what you say is correct. You can do all that. But this is a simple loop implemented using the. You can make modifications to improve the thing. But is the overall logic clear? Is it clear how I write simple loops in using recursion for everyone? Yes. So Srimati, is it clear?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So I'll move on. What else do I have? Yes, I have other things. Okay, this is a local definition. But so this is where is one way of giving local definitions. Okay. Another way of doing local definitions is to say let. Instead of saying largest div n is div search of n minus 1, where div search is something something something. I'll say largest divisor of n equals let div search be equal to something 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 in. I should do. This is the syntax. You'll say let div search of I equals this function. You give the definition of the function in div search of n minus 1. Okay. So you can either do where or you can do let. There are some differences between let and where, but we don't need to worry about it now. So just remember that you can either use let or where. You use where if you want to immediately state the overall function and then tell what the components are. You will do let if you want to tell all the components first and then say in the larger expression. Okay, these are just two syntactic variants. For now, that's all you need to know. Where is a little more versatile than let, but we will not need it right now. When we come to it, we'll use. Typically, we will be using where most of the time. Sometimes I'll use let just for stylistical reasons, not for anything else. Okay. Okay. And yes, you can reduce the search space by starting from n div 2. Okay, this is another thing. Yes. Yeah. So.
Sir?
Great. And yes?
Is there a way to define more than one local function at once?
Yeah. You can define more than one local functions. You just say where, in fact, you will see it, I think, pretty soon. Yeah, all you need to do is where here, in the where case, it's easier. Where div search you write, and in the next line, you continue with some other local function.
Oh, okay. Okay, sir. Thanks.
Okay, you can do all that. Okay. Div search plus something else, some div search prime, and then you can do whatever you want. Okay. Right.
Okay.
Yes. So now, so here is one thing. So you can do div search of n div 2. I write parenthesis. Suppose I have to, this itself is a larger, sometimes you will see that you will have parenthesis just overwhelm the thing. You might have f applied to g applied to h applied to x plus 1, and you have so many parentheses, you see. 1, 2, 3 sets of parentheses might become a little this thing. So you can always use dollar to reduce clutter. Okay. So you will say, for instance, as I say here, div search dollar when you write a dollar, you are saying process whatever comes to the right of the dollar first, and then supply it to the process whatever comes to the right of the dollar first. Okay, which means that n div 2 is taken as a whole expression. What will happen if I write div search n div 2 without parenthesis? Yeah, that's another question. Suppose you drop the parenthesis here, what will happen?
It will take div search n.
Yeah, it will take div search n and try to divide it by 2, and this function will not terminate at all, because you are or even here div search I minus 1, in the definition of div search you are invoking div search I again, so it will never end, because that div search I will again invoke div search I and it will keep on going. Okay, it will never end. So you should be very careful when you define your own functions that you make sure that you write parentheses. Okay, make sure to ensure that you add parentheses appropriately, especially in recursive functions. Why especially in recursive functions? Because in recursive functions you will call it again and again and again, so you might never terminate. Okay.
So when you in your Haskell program, when
Yes.
you define search from globally with two
Yes.
parameters,
Yeah.
suppose you find the type of that, it will automatically be assigned to integer.
Yes, it will automatically be assigned integer because you are calling it in somewhere else also. Yeah, it will not be assigned integer. It will be assigned for any numeric type. It is a arrow or some such thing.
Oh, okay.
It will be assigned something more general.
Okay, understood. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Sir, what is
Yes. So now here I can do this. Let me go to the code and show you how this dollar thing works. You can do that, and generally you can use this dollar to use in expressions like this instead of f dollar. So instead of f g h x, f of g of h of x plus 1, you can write f dollar g dollar h dollar x plus 1. That would mean that you are always first you are processing x plus 1, then you are processing h of x plus 1, then you are processing g of h of x. Okay, so the dollar says process the thing that occurs right first. Okay, and that is used to reduce clutter when you have lots of nested parentheses. Let me just show you that here. Here it doesn't matter. Maybe I minus 1 inside parentheses even makes it clearer, but you can also use dollar. Yes, you get this. And you should also see what happens if you dispense with the dollar. You will get an error. It will never terminate. Okay, no, you won't get an error. It will compile, of course, but it will never terminate. See, so you have to quit it forcibly. Sometimes it won't work. You'll have to do several times to quit. It's already off and running off. Okay, good. So we are back there. Yes. So I want to find the length of an integer.
So why did we use in front of div search?
That is because I didn't tell you that instead of using where, you can say let div search be dot 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 whatever definition in. This is equivalent to saying largest div n equals div search of n divided by 2 where div search I equals whatever. Okay. So yeah. So I'll show you how to write it in code. No. I can also use search from.
Sir, you've written F instead of D. Still.
I have written
In largest.
largest. Okay. So unfortunately, I'm forced to use VI, which is good, but some of the things won't work automatically on the iPad. Okay, and then I'll say in search div search from this n minus, or here I'll use n div. Okay, great. So this is another way of doing local functions. Is it clear? Whoever asked me why I have written in, that's just another way of writing the where. Okay, so you can use where or you can use let in, let something in. Okay, okay. What did I want to do? Reload largest div. No one. No, I'll say load. prime. Okay, so you can just work around these things. Okay, fine, good. So now our next task is to find the length of an integer. Int length.
Also, sir, why did we use so much long space after otherwise? We could have
Why
used
do we lose? No, sorry. What is the question?
like long space after otherwise. We could have used the most space.
No. I can use any number of spaces. I just wanted to align the equalities. This equal and this equal. You needn't. I'm just using it. That's all. Yeah, good question. Yes. Are you okay with this?
Yes, sir. Yes.
There are some editors, if you use VS Code or whatever, sometimes it will automatically align the whole thing itself. So you don't need to worry about it. But anyway, yes. Who else had a question?
Sir, I was asking whether, like, what exactly does in search from whatever argument do? Like, what exactly does it do?
No, I didn't get here. In search from.
Yes.
No, I'm saying this. The definition of largest div prime n is nothing but search from n div 2. Exactly like this. Okay? Except here, I am giving the definition first and the local definitions I am giving later.
Right,
okay?
right.
I do that, I use where. But if I give the local definitions first, then I will say let search from whatever, all the local definitions you give. Finally, you say in. Okay? In the main definition. Okay?
Right.
After in, you will give the main definition. The main definition of largest div.
We could have used n minus 1 instead of n div 2. N minus 1 instead of n div 2 in search from dollar.
Yeah. In n minus 1, then your search will be longer. I'm using n div 2, so cutting down the search space a little more. That's all. Yeah. So n minus 1 will never as somebody observed, n minus 1 will never divide to n unless I don't know n is 2. Yeah. In all other cases, you don't need to start from n minus 1. You can cheerfully start from n div. Okay, because that is the largest divisor. And if n is an even number, n div 2 will exactly divide n, and then you are done. You don't need to start from n minus 1 and then go down all the way. Okay, so now let's go to the next task, which is to find the length of an integer. We'll again assume that it's a positive integer, etc. for simplicity. So how do I find the length of an integer? So int length. There are two cases, int length n. What are the two guards you will give?
1 for n less than 10.
So Srimati, let's ask somebody else. So sorry, she is the only person whose name I can immediately see. Yeah, I want to find the length of an integer. If it is a single digit number, then the length is 1. So that is your base case. Or whatever. So that is your this thing. So how do you check whether n is a single digit number? Assuming it is positive.
So I was thinking, I mean, I don't know if this is a proper way, but I was saying take a number and then subtract 1 from it. If it's still greater than 0, subtract 10 from it and keep doing that for powers of 10. And whenever it's less than, so for example, if you take the number 12, and then you subtract 1 from it, it's still greater than 0. So you subtract 10 from it, it's still greater than 0. But if you subtract 100 from it, it's less than 0. So you stop at 10.
Okay, good. So that is one logic, but we'll use another logic. Okay, so rather than subtracting 10, 100, etc. from it, okay, so what we'll do is we'll do it a little more systematically. We'll divide by 10. Here is another way. You have a number 754, divide by 10, you will get 75. Okay, then divide by 10 again, you will get 7. At this point, it is less than 10, so its length is 1, and then you have to go back and add. So let's see. So let's do the base case. If n is less than 10, that means it's a single digit number, then the length is 1. Otherwise, what do?
You divide by 10. I mean, like div 10.
You do int length of n div 10.
And then add 1, I think.
Exactly, that's all. Yes. So this is a simple enough function. Okay. Now this is the length of the integer. Now what I want to do is I want to reverse an integer. So do you all have class right now? You mind if I take some 5 minutes extra? I'll end at 15:20. I promise.
This is our last class for this.
Okay, good. I want to reverse an integer. What is the logic you would use? Somebody else can volunteer. If nobody else volunteer, then I'll.
Sir,
Lots of you have been very silent, so I don't know.
So we actually did it.
yes, sir.
You did int reverse, right? In one of the things we did, yes. So yes. So do you recall who was saying that we did this? Neelabja, is it?
Yes, sir. So we did actually n mod 10 into 10 to the power length of
Yes. So
n
can you
minus
give me the
1.
proper expression? Int reverse
I
of
mean,
n.
Yes, int reverse of n is equal to n mod 10.
Yeah.
N mod 10 into 10 to the power int length n minus 1 plus int reverse n div 10.
Right. So what I'll do is, okay, so here is another chance for you to use the either let or where. I'll say the remainder into 10 power L minus 1 plus motion. Int reverse of motion. Where, okay, reminder where quotient equals
n div 10.
yes, quotient equals n div 10, reminder equals n mod 10.
Sir, we can also do another way. Like
One minute,
we can define
minute.
another.
No, let me finish this now, please. Yes, good that you are trying to suggest, but let me finish this code. Let me compile this. Let me run this. Let us check that it works. Then we will look at the other way, because you need to give everybody time to digest this thing, right? Is this clear to everyone? The code that I have written at least. Yeah. Now somebody earlier asked, can I do multiple local definitions? Here I am doing multiple local definitions. Q, R, L, these are all local definitions, multiple things. You can give them all like this at the same level of indentation. Yes, who asked about multiple local functions earlier?
Sir, Gautam, sir.
Yes, good. So is it clear now to you?
Yes,
So
sir,
you can do it?
understood.
These
Yeah.
are just expressions, but you can also have functions. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So
good.
just as a very quick
Now, is the logic clear?
extension.
Yes.
Can we do pattern matching also like this? So
Yes, you can. You can do, for instance, instead of, okay, so one small thing, this doing div and mod is so common that Haskell offers you something called div mod. Okay, that will at the same time return the coefficient, the quotient as well as the remainder. Okay, but it will return it as a pair. So you will say Q comma R, the pair Q comma R. We haven't talked about pairs yet, but we will come to that. You will say that, oh, the pair Q comma R is div mod n div mod 10. Okay, that's another legitimate. Okay, and then L is int length of n. I don't necessarily need this thing here. So, but I'm using int length and giving a local definition because your overall expression doesn't look cluttered. Okay, this expression at least looks much simpler than the actually putting int length, etc., etc. Okay, L stands for length, so you can at least do something there. Okay, so let's now try to see if this works.
We have not defined int reverse.
Int reverse is what I have defined. No, original int reverse is this. This is the definition.
Oh, sorry, sir. Yeah, I see.
It's a recursive definition.
Sir, there are no base case.
There is no base case. That is very good. What you asked is very good. So yes, you are very good. Well spotted. What is yes, there is no base case. So I have to say that
Just for the single digit, it remains the same.
just for the single digit, you have to return the same thing itself. Okay, you will say that if n is less than 10 equals n, otherwise Yeah, so now it is done. Okay, but now since the thing is here, you have to indent it one level further. I'm sorry. Okay, good. This is done. Okay, no, say intervals of int length of first 10,000. I'll get 5. Okay, I'm only checking it for positive numbers. I'm not going to bother with negative inputs to 5. That's 3. Okay, now int reverse of 5. 552. Okay, good. So you have things like this. What will intervals of 10,000 be?
1.
Just 1. Yeah, because leading zeros will be cut off. Okay, so now somebody, as I was doing this, somebody said we can also do it this way. Who said that?
Yes,
And
sir.
what is the other way in which you can do?
So we can define another local function with the parameter r.
Srijan, is it Srijan who's saying this?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And
What will, yeah.
Initially, we will set r to be 0, and we can do r equal to r into 10 plus n mod 10 and n equal to n by 10.
Okay, so yeah, so let me do the other way that you're saying, but I need to explain the logic first. Okay, you want to say fast reverse. Fast reverse. Fast because here I have to do div mod by 10, etc., etc., and I have to raise to the power. I have to do all this. Raise to the power L minus 1. All that I have to do. It's a little tricky. It's a little time consuming. So fast reverse. What I'll do is I'll reverse into what do I mean by reverse into 0? I'll explain that now. Suppose I want to reverse A into I, what I am saying is that A is already given. I want to put I, which is at the.
Excuse me, sir.
I want to take the rightmost digit of I and put it at the rightmost place in A. Okay.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
So this is Apratim, sir. I have a doubt in the int reverse
Yes.
function.
Yes, yes.
In the otherwise step, I didn't understand what's going on there.
Yeah, what I am doing is R, which is the rightmost digit. R is mod 10. N mod 10. This QR, if you see, is N div mod 10. Which means Q is N div 10, R is N mod 10. Okay, so tell me yes if you understand this or not.
Got it, sir.
Yeah, tell me if you got it. So what I am doing is R is the rightmost digit, therefore. If I do mod 10.
Got it, sir.
Yes, so I am extracting the rightmost digit, okay, and I have to put it leftmost. After reversing the remaining digits. So the remaining digits are the quotient. Okay, divided by 10. So I am doing int reverse of the quotient. And I have to put the R at the leftmost. How do I determine the leftmost? I have to do it by saying R times 10 to the L minus 1. Because that is how many digits I have to shift it to the left. L is the length of your original number. So suppose you have 7. Suppose R is 7. Yeah, and if your quotient has 4 digits, then you will have to make what? 70,000, right? Yeah, that is what I am doing. 7 into 10 to the 4 I will do. Is it fine?
I got it, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Now, instead of doing this, so here we are trying to put R at the leftmost place, which is why we have to shift it so many digits. Instead, what you can do is, you can imagine that, yeah, I have to draw a picture. So you can imagine that I have this, so I can draw a picture. So this is actually the last thing also. This whole thing is the slide. But, so what? So you can imagine that yeah. So you can imagine that there is one number here. There is one empty number with a lot of slots. Okay. And then you can imagine that there is one number here, 75442, let us say. Okay. So suppose you, to begin with, you put this 2 here, the rightmost. Okay. Okay. Then, okay. So instead I should actually suppose you start out with 0 here and 7544. First step, what do? You take 2 and put it at the rightmost here. Okay, so it becomes 2, 7, 5, 4. Next step, what do? You take 4 here and put it rightmost here. So it will become 24, 7, 5, 4. Next step, you put 4 here, take 4 here, put it rightmost here. Rather than putting at leftmost, you are putting at rightmost. Take the rightmost here, put it at the rightmost in some other number. So now it will become 2, 4, 4, 75. Then take 5, put it at the rightmost here. It will become 2, 4, 4, 5, 7. Then take 7 here, put it at the rightmost. 2, 4, 4, 5, 7. This becomes 0. At this point, stop. Okay. And 2, 4, 5, 5, 2, 4, 4, 5, 7 is the reverse of 7, 5, 4, 4. Is the logic clear?
Yes.
Yes. It is like if you think of these numbers as a stack of plates, 7, 5, 4, 4, 2. Okay. You are having another stack here, empty stack. You are taking things on the top of the stack and putting it on top here. So you will take 2 and put it on top here. Then you will take 4 and put it on top here. Okay. So you're taking 2, putting it on top. So let me change color. You'll take 2, put it on top. It will become 2 here. You'll take this 4, put it on top. It will be 4. This 4 goes on top. This 4 goes on top. Now the stack is empty, and if you read the stack from bottom to top, it will be 2, 4, 4, 5, 7. That's the reverse of the original number. Is it clear?
Yes.
Yes, and that is the same. How do you put? How if you have an existing number A, let us say, how do you push a number, push a digit D to its rightmost?
10 times A plus mod.
10 times A plus D. So this is much simpler, right? Rather than doing any this thing. So that is what this code says. So this code uses let etc. etc. But I can use. I'll just write the code for you, and then it will be clear. Yeah, and I shall end with that. And if you want, we can redo this once we come back when we meet next on Thursday. So sorry for going 15 minutes over time almost. But, okay, so reverse I into A, I'm saying, is nothing but 10 times, I don't know, remainder, sorry, 10 times A plus remainder, reverse into A. No, I have to do various things, right? If I equals 0, stop. I should just return A. Otherwise, okay, reverse into, so I need to change this. So rather, I should reverse. So I should push the R, which is the rightmost digit, into the right of my A, and then I should reverse the remaining things into this again. So the remaining thing is Q, okay, where again, as usual, QR is I do mod 10. Okay, good. So here you don't need to do any int length or 10 to the power, etc. etc.
Sir, shouldn't the type be integer, integer, integer?
No, I'm just fast reverse n. No, I'm just fast reversing in. That reverse into is a local.
Oh, reverse into. Okay. Yeah, that is a local function.
I can give types of the local functions too. I'll go
Yeah,
here.
yeah, okay.
Here, yeah. Okay, great. So this is done. Reload fast rev of 75442. I can also do all kinds of 2 power 16. I can give anything here, no? Just set to 16. Yes, 65536 becomes 63556. I can also say 10 power 100. This is simpler. 1.
Sir,
right?
what will it give for 013?
013, it will give you 31. Because 013 is nothing but 13, right? So it should just give you 31. It is marked that way. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Fast rev.
Hello, sir.
2 power 1 second. 2 power 100. Okay, good. So I think I'll stop with this, except if you have questions. Yeah.
Sir, I had one question. That
yes, sir.
Previously you defined one inbuilt function, that plus, right? I mean, that simply appends in the order we give.
Right. But for lists, not for integers. You see?
Oh, okay.
That is for lists, not for integers.
Okay. I was thinking then we could have just avoided the 10 to the
think
power.
of these as lists, then it is easy, but then these are integers, so you have to do something.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
We are going to do lists in the next class. Don't worry. So lists are fundamental. So we have seen recursive definitions. The next thing, logical thing to do is lists, and then you are off. I can give you an assignment also, so you can heartily do work. The TAs would have already told you something, but I'll consult with the TAs and I'll give you an assignment maybe by end of the week. Okay, good. Any other questions?
Instead of fast rev n equals rev into 0 n, we can just omit the n, right? So it will define it as a new function.
Yeah. You can just say fast rev equals rev into 0. Yeah, you can do that. Yes. Right. So you can say fast rev n equals rev into 0 n, or you can just say fast rev equals rev into. Okay, that's a. Oh, sorry. I was trying to edit it on the map. I cannot. I have to do it on the. Yes. So you can do this.
Sir, in the otherwise statement of rev into, if I want to replace the parenthesis with the $sign, how would I do that?
Okay. So you cannot here because there is some other argument that comes after that. Okay. So the parenthesis is used only for unary functions typically.
Oh, okay, sir.
Sorry, the $thing is mainly used when you have a unary function that is being. If it were the second argument also, you could do that, but not if it's the first argument. Sometimes you're forced to do the parenthesis. Okay. Yes, so this is also something that we can do. Instead of saying fast rev n equals rev into 0 n, you can just say fast rev equals. Okay, great. Okay, I think we are done with this. If there are no more questions, I can stop. Yes. What will happen if you say fast rev 2 power 20? Fast rev of 2 power 20?
It will give 2.
No, it won't give you 2. It will give you.
So, shouldn't it just take a
fast rev will apply first and then it will just raise it to the power 20. That's all.
Oh.
So, whatever, if you just say 2 power 20 also, you will get the same answer. Yeah. So, fast rev 2 will be invoked first. It will be 2 and then that will be raised to the power 20. Okay. So, you need to give the parenthesis.
can we execute a rev into separately?
No, you cannot, because that's local. You see, you can ask rev into 0 to power 20. Variable not in scope. Okay, because it's a local function. Okay. Okay then. Yeah. So yeah. So thank you. So we'll meet on Thursday then. Yes. I hope things are okay. So please don't hesitate to ask me questions. You are asking questions, but only a small subset. I'm assuming the others are just understanding, and this is still basic material. But please don't be shy. I will soon give you some the assignment so that you get practice, etc. Okay. Fine. Okay. Bye then. Yeah. See you on Thursday.
Thank you, sir.
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 Stop the live stream. Oh, I didn't look at the chats at all. If there is any question, I should answer that.
Sir, it wasn't a question, but like I sent the alternative code for those questions like on DM to you.
Okay.
So just wanted to.
Yeah. So if you send me something on chat and I don't respond, please. And if
Sure,
you want
sir.
to do it, you just send me a direct message. Okay, great, good, very good. Yeah.
Thank you,
Okay,
sir.
then yeah, fine. Bye.